following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays from the HighLowSports podcast. We appreciate you all joining us here for some of our favorite things to do in sports, and that is going through some rankings. We're going to go and break out the tier maker here, and we're going to talk about a little bit something fun that both Kelsey and I like a lot. We're going to look at Heisman Trophy winners going just back to 2010. We're not going to stay here for an hour and go too much further back. There was going to go back about 12, 13 years. And you know what? We looked at this list, and there was a lot of really, really, really good players on this one, as you'd imagine.
Yeah, before we get into this one, this is probably one of the tougher ones we have for a tier ranking. I'm not sure how many bads are going to be out there in this period of time. There's been a lot of great Heisman Trophy winners since the 2010 season, and it's going to be tough to rank them. But I guess it's that time then, huh?
As you mentioned, there's not going to be a lot of bad. That's why we didn't label any of them as bad. You can see the lowest tier is still pretty darn good, where the highest one is the GOAT level as well. So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to waste absolutely no time. Right now, we're going to go in order where we're going to rotate like we do every Tier Tuesday. Kelsey's guy, Cam Newton, is number one, so I'm going to go first. I'm going to rank Cam Newton because we're going to take that from him. I'm putting Cam in the GOAT category. We're putting him right there at the very top. His season, you look at what he did, the Cam back against Alabama, undefeated. What he did in the national championship game accounted for, I think it was 50 total touchdowns, 20 on the ground, 20 in the air. It was an absolutely incredible season with a good group around him, but it's not like he had an all-star cast. Like, there were some good guys here and there's some quality players, but it wasn't like he's riddled with NFL talent. So you know what, Cam Newton, based on that season alone, we're going to put him in the GOAT category for Heisman Trophy winners. We're starting off with a bang.
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about it. You had wide receivers that on his team that made it into the league. One, Devontae Adams, who was only a practice squad player, and now he's playing in Canada and has been playing in Canada since 2013. So not even that great of a player. Well, there's one of only three players other than Cam taking off that offense. So not a great situation when you compare the players around him. But yeah, no, Cam, obviously one of the more fantastic seasons we've ever seen. Arguably one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen as well. And let's not forget, he also broke the SEC record for touchdowns scored on the ground. That was also previously set by Herschel Walker. So there's a lot of statistics there that find pretty impressive from a season from a guy that was pretty much a throwaway from Florida after everything that he went through there.
I think of Vince Young's Rose Bowl, and that's kind of what it felt like he did the entire year. Like, it wasn't flashy. Well, I guess it was flashy because Cam, but it wasn't like your traditional way of doing it. The offense was tailor-made to his skill set, and he thrived in it and made it count. And the rest of college football was still pretty good. It's not like it was a bad season with nobody else. There were still some good teams. Even if Alabama wasn't quite – it wasn't to that year where we saw them a few years later where they won back-to-back and were toasting everybody. But that's still Alabama nonetheless. Like, there's still some quality opponents. He still beat some very, very good teams en route.
This is like he set back this Alabama team. By the way, part of the 4-year streak where Alabama did not beat Auburn at all during that 4-year streak. However, Alabama also won 3 out of 4 championships in that same time period, with Auburn winning the 4th. So the Alabama team was still tough. Let's not kid ourselves. It was just, not the worst, not the craziest thing you've ever seen. And also, it took a historic comeback. I mean, that doesn't happen either. You don't come back from 27-3 to win 28-27, or sorry, 24-3 at halftime and win 28-27. That's just crazy.
Unless you're playing against a team in Georgia, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to be on this one all day. So we got what you get next, and you get RG3 is who you get to take the reins with to kick this off.
Oh boy, this gets so much easier now, doesn't it? RG3, if you're a Baylor fan, I think he goes in the GOAT category. But I think for the rest of us, I'm going to call him an easy winner. I'm not going to give him incredible. I'm not going to give him a winner. I'm not going to give him still pretty good. I think he goes right here in the middle. He had a great season. It's no question about it. But there were a lot of question marks still in that Heisman Trophy season. Whereas, like, we just talk about Cam. Cam, it was unquestioned whether or not Cam was going to win. Like, that was like, and then later on, as we get into a few of these other Heisman Trophy candidates, I'm sure we're going to have the same conversation. But with RG3, it was just, it was really good. It was a fantastic season, but there were still question marks for me. So I don't want to give him a go. And it also wasn't like a runaway incredible like we might have with a couple of these guys. It was just really good.
I'd say him and Andrew Luck were neck and neck until he had that comeback against Oklahoma at the end of the year. And he had that interview with, I think I just won the Heisman. I think him saying that alone just had the bravado and that won it for him. But it was neck and neck and a great season nonetheless. I think easy winner's a good spot for him.
Yeah,
Next up,
it was a great season though.
next up, I got a fun one. We got Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel, and we got to keep in mind we're going off just this Heisman Trophy season. We're not going by everything else that comes with Johnny Football. We're going off just that season. I'm going to put him in the easy winner category as well. When you look back on it, it's pretty easy to win when you throw out to Mike Evans and he comes down with it. No matter what, you sprint. But basically what he did against Alabama to beat Alabama with a Texas A&M squad that we really didn't know about, he was electric. His down the field quickness, his ability to escape pressure. I think it was an easy winner because there wasn't a whole lot of competition otherwise for him too. So I think easy winner is a good spot. And he did have a very electric season. His next season, some people wanted to say was better. I still think what he did in this season was just electric. Even though Mike Evans made a lot of it easy, we're gonna give him an easy winner.
Yeah, look, I mean, don't get me wrong. He got bailed out by Mike Evans more than enough times for really a career. But also, you know what? I honestly think that maybe you might have a case for making Manziel an incredible here for no other reason than he was the first freshman ever to win the Heisman. Now, it seems like nothing when you consider what's happened up the last 7-8 years. You've seen it a few more times. But at the time, no freshman had ever been up there. I mean, you had Tim Tebow was the only previous Heisman Trophy finalist that was a freshman, and so Johnny Manziel being the first Heisman Trophy winner as a freshman was pretty impressive. But I mean, I do like him as an easy winner. I do think if you look at the statistics, he's an easy winner. He's an easy winner in the statistics. But if you want to give him that incredible nod because he's the first freshman ever, I could understand it. I like him as an easy winner personally, but I mean, I'm just making a case potentially for devil's advocate here.
I will say when you look at the next two in line for him, it was Manti Te'o and Colin Klein. So it was kind of, once he had that Alabama moment, it was kind of done. He had the one big moment where not a lot of anyone else had it. So easy winner. I feel pretty good with that one. But now you get one of your favorite guys on this, famous Jameis.
Yeah, famous Jameis. Stolen crab legs and all. You know what? This one's tough for me.
Speaking of freshmen, I think he was the first true freshman to do it as well. Following up John.
No, he was a red shirt. No,
was he?
Winston was also a red shirt.
Okay.
So it's tough. With Jameis, I'm gonna go because of the season he had. I'm gonna go incredible. I think you have to give him incredible. It hurts me to say it, but I think just given everything that happened in that season, it makes sense. It hurts me to admit it, but it makes sense. You don't just win a national championship and you don't get some kind of accommodation for that. That's the one difference when you compare him to the last two guys we just had on this list. Statistically, fantastic season. One of the most efficient seasons we've ever seen from a college quarterback as well. Also, considering he was a redshirt freshman with some actually pretty good receivers. I'll give him credit at the time, but a fat Kelvin Benjamin later on down the road. It's interesting to see what he did, and then to do it and then win a trophy, win a national championship, plus win a Heisman Trophy. It's all right. Yeah, you get an incredible nod. I'm not going to give you a GOAT, but you get an incredible nod here for me.
I will say 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. That'll kind of do it. By comparison, Johnny Manziel's Heisman season, he had 26 passing touchdowns. He had 37 this year, where he finished fifth. So fantastic season by Jameis nonetheless, and en route to a national championship.
I mean, his debut was 25 of 27 for 4 touchdowns. And that was against Pitt, and he also had a rushing touchdown. So, like, when we talk about, he was impressive, he was very impressive all season long. There wasn't any question with Jameis. The biggest questions for Jameis came off the field, and you know what? After everything that's gone on in the Heisman Trophy, I'll just leave off the field, and not talk about him.
Speaking of which, next we got Marcus Mariota, who ironically got the number 2 pick in the same draft as Jameis Winston, winning in 2014. So for Marcus Mariota, I'm going to go ahead and stick him once again in the easy winner category. I mean, Melvin Gordon was next in line that year, who had a great season, 29 touchdowns in his own right. Then Amari Cooper was third, and we all know how good Amari Cooper was at Alabama. I think it just feels like an easy winner. It wasn't incredible. I mean, 42 touchdowns, only 4 picks, incredibly efficient, 4,400 yards. It was a very, very, very good season, plus what he did on the ground. I'm going to reel it back in from incredible just by a little bit, though. I think and he didn't get a chance to capitalize it with the ring at the end, too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him to the front of the easy winner category. So he's kind of in that fringe between incredible and easy winner.
Yeah, no, that's more than acceptable. What's really crazy about his Heisman Trophy win, first Oregon Duck, first Hawaii-born athlete. And on top of that, he had 788 out of the 891 possible first-place votes, which is about 88.4% at the time, was the highest amount of first-place votes for a Heisman Trophy winner, and 90.9% of total points out of that. So literally only 9.1% of points went to anybody else in this Heisman Trophy candidacy. So it was an impressive win for Mariota. Part of that pretty impressive Oregon team, but like you said, at the end of the day, did not get to capitalize with a ring. So hard to give him it. And he was also part of that experiment, the first year of the playoffs too. So kind of a tough break that he ran up against the teams he ran up against, that Oklahoma teams especially.
Yeah, and that Ohio State led by Zeke that year. That's
Ohio State. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's hard when Zeke's giving you 200 per game. So
yeah.
Next, that's going to give you the man, the myth, the legend, still going strong and still the biggest man on the field somehow 10 years later, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. This guy won a national championship and a Heisman. But I will say this. I'm not going to give him an incredible. I think I'm going to put him right in front of Mariota as easy winner here. Look, did he deserve it? Absolutely. But he was also not really competing against anybody. There was supposedly Leonard Fournette that season. Leonard Fournette did not show up at all that season. And Leonard Fournette finished in second for a Heisman Trophy race here. Sorry, sixth. But yeah. To me, it wasn't. I don't look at this and think that it was a close race by any means from anybody. I guess Christian McCaffrey might have had a case. Did he, though? No. Did Deshaun really have a case? No. I just don't want to give him incredible. I don't know. Maybe it's the bias against Alabama. But I just don't look at what he did as all-time great. I look at what he did as Alabama great. Now what he's doing in the league is absolutely insane. But I don't know. Yeah,
you're actually nicer on this one than I am. I was going to actually lean him more towards just the winner category because you mentioned Christian McCaffrey, very similar in yards, but didn't have as many touchdowns, but had more through the air. Deshaun Watson with his 35 touchdowns, 4,100 yards. Even Baker with his 36 touchdowns and only 7 picks. Yeah. Leonard Fournette with his 22 touchdowns. Zeke with his 23 and 1,800. So he was this was the best player on the best team gets the award feeling, like what they do with MVP sometimes in NBA. That's what this one felt like to me. While he was still
to me, it's the ring. He also did break Sean Alexander's rushing record at Alabama, which is an impressive record to break at Alabama. But unfortunately, it's at Alabama, not in the SEC or in the NCAA type of situation. But yeah, I mean, truthfully, and I stand by this. I think Derrick Henry should have been the first ever Alabama Heisman Trophy winner. I'm going to stand by that for forever. Mark Ingram did not deserve to be the first. Derrick Henry did. And he kind of got slighted in this, but I gave him easy winner just because of the ring here. That's the biggest reason he's not in the winner category for me.
I will say he had 395 carries going into that as well too, so he definitely got plenty of burn to go through it. So
stupid amount of carries. I mean, literally something that you just never see in college, like ever. Double most NFL running backs get in a season.
Next, we got Lamar Jackson and video game. That's how we describe that season for him. Absolutely. I'm even putting him even though he didn't win the ring, I'm putting him ahead of Jameis because of what he did overall. 30 touchdowns through the air. I think it was 20 on the ground. More than 2,000 rushing and 3,500 passing. I don't know the exact numbers, but absolutely insane video game numbers. And he did it with really, really good competition. When you look at second was Deshaun Watson, who had 4,600 yards, 40 touchdowns, and capped it off with a ring. Baker with his 40 touchdowns and 4,000 yards, and Day-Day Westbrook in there too. Like, there was a lot of really good competition. Even Jonathan Allen surprisingly making it into that top 10 as well. I think that was really good competition. He still stood out amongst the rest of them. And that was with Louisville. This is a Louisville team that not a lot of talent. We're going to leave it that way. There wasn't a whole lot of talent surrounding him. And as a true freshman, he went out there and went absolutely ballistic. So I'm giving Lamar incredible, just a little bit ahead of Jameis. As great as Jameis was, what Lamar did was so little. I remember him and Deshaun having that I think it was a Saturday night duel where it was like 45-52 or something like that. Clemson's talent, led by Hunter Renfrow and squad. Lamar's talent. It was literally Lamar putting the team on his back and nearly upsetting Clemson. So give me Lamar Bliss. It's incredible.
That game, to me, still lives down in infamy for one of the greatest head-to-head matchups for Heisman competitors, let alone, you count for the conference rivalry at that time, too. Mm-hmm. It was impressive. And Lamar, I mean, look, I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind. His unanimous MVP season in the league, his Heisman Trophy, there's no question he deserves both of those. I don't think there's – if you have any doubt in those situations, you're an idiot. Like, that's – I'm sorry, I'm going to call it like it is. This man has done absolutely everything. This might have been my only argument for a non-national championship winner to get a GOAT conversation, just because, like you said, as you started out, video game numbers. I mean, it was insane to watch him play. I mean, you're talking about a guy taking the ball up the middle of 94 yards for a touchdown in one play. Just because he can, and he ran, and in the last 15 yards of that, he's walking because everybody else is off screen. Like, one of the stupidest amounts of athleticism I've ever seen, especially from the quarterback position. So, I think Lamar absolutely deserves an incredible spot. I'm like him at the top of that. I mean, I'd honestly borderline GOAT in a lot of ways. Just
he's close.
You need the ring. I think is kind of our standard for that. Like, don't get me wrong, video game numbers are fantastic, but you kind of need a ring to go with it.
To get in, you got to win. And while he won a lot of games, he unfortunately wasn't quite able. But like we said, he did everything possible. But next, we got arguably your favorite guy on the list, or maybe not whatsoever. We got Baker Mayfield from 2017, and really, really good underrated season. And 3 times he was in the top 5, 3 years in a row for the Heisman, surprisingly.
Yeah, and what's even crazier is he started off this whole Oklahoma quarterback 3 times in a row situation, being in the Heisman Trophy finalists, like back to back to back. So really, what was it, 5 years in a row we had an Oklahoma quarterback in the top 5 of the finalists. Absolutely insane. Baker is probably one of the greatest college quarterbacks to ever play the game. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind. I think you look at his statistics, look at the way he played the game. Everything on the resume checks out. Attitude, love or hate it. I mean, I kind of did love. I really did love it. I think of the Kansas situation, what he did with the Kansas handshake. You know what? Fantastic. What he did on sideline afterwards, probably not the greatest idea though. But let's just look at his 2017 season to be exact. 4,600 yards, 4,627 to be exact, 43 touchdowns to there, only 6 picks. He had a 198.9 rating, which is damn near perfect in college. I think it's 206 is the perfect score for college. Absolutely insane to think about. He also added in 5 rushing touchdowns, 311 yards on the ground. But most importantly, of all the greats that have come through Oklahoma, especially quarterbacks, he threw for a school-high 598 yards, not in any game, but in the Bedlam game in Oklahoma State. One of the more fantastic performances. I think, in my opinion, maybe his Heisman standout right there, throwing almost 600 yards against Oklahoma State. That was kind of the moment that you're just like, okay, yeah, you got this one, kid. This one's all you. So with all that said, I'm going to say he's going to go incredible for me. Right after Jameis. I think everything he did was fantastic, but I'm not going to put him in GOAT. I'm not going that far. Because he won a ring, I'm, gonna keep him there, because he won the Big 12 championship and did not win a ring, I'm gonna keep him there. But yeah, I can't go beyond that for Baker. But you know what? He had a fantastic career, and 27 was really the peak of it.
Absolutely, and on it, he had a lot of really good talent there, but he made the most of every bit of it as well. So next, we got he
made D.D. Westbrook a Heisman Trophy finalist, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not forget.
17 touchdowns will do that. And Mark Andrews looked pretty good, and Lamar can tell you that as well. There's a lot going on there. So next, we got Kyler Murray, who was his backup for a year and then just picked up right where he left off. And this one's tough for me because he was awesome. I mean, 1,000 yards on the ground to go with 12 touchdowns, 4,300 through the air with 42 touchdowns, only 7 picks. He was awesome, but we can't overpack this one, so I'm going to put him in winner. Just because when you look at that season, Tua Tagovailoa chipped in 43 touchdowns through the air and about 4,000 yards. Dwayne Haskins, who everyone kind of forgets about, 4,800 through the air and 50 touchdowns with only 8 picks. And not to mention as well, there was Gardner Minshew had 38 touchdowns. Like, he was awesome. I'm looking at all these other guys too, and there's just that little bit of a gap. So Kyler Murray was awesome. He is a winner. I'd say a comfortable winner. There was no complaints with him winning, but I don't want to say easy winner because he had some really, really good competition that year. And once again, too, you didn't quite get the ring, and you had a little bit of issues with Texas that seemed to have haunted Oklahoma a lot over the last decade.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I'm going to stick right there with you. I don't think he deserves – maybe can go easy winner, but I like the competition that he had. It was a lot closer than a lot of people remember because he's like, oh, Kyler won the Heisman. Like, no duh. Well, yeah, but it really wasn't a no duh situation. I mean, Dwayne Haskins by himself put a really good competition in there for it, and so And that's the third place winner. So it's not, we're not even talking about the second place guy here. And I think Kyler was good. He just kind of sums up like his career in the NFL too. It's good, but not great. Until proven otherwise, he hasn't really been able to show he's been great yet. And let's not forget, he also got dinged up in his Heisman Trophy season. He did miss a half at least. But he was beating teams so bad it didn't really matter. He also was gifted with a guy by the name of CeeDee Lamb, so that doesn't hurt matters.
I think, and I think Hollywood Brown was there too, if I'm not mistaken. Granted, you can look at Dwayne Haskins, say Terry McLaurin. We can do this all day, but I think he definitely won. It's a clear winner, just not an easy winner. Is how we'll award this one.
Yeah.
All right, you got the fun one now. You got Sir Joe of Houseborough here, Joey B, Joe Shiesty. The most nicknames compared to everybody else combined, I would say, on this one.
The goat of all goats. I'm going to put him in front of Cam. I'm not even going to preface this one. We're talking about the greatest college quarterback season we've ever seen, ever. 5,600 yards passing, 60 touchdowns. 60. He broke what was a system quarterback's record in Colt Brennan's record from Hawaii of 58. He broke that in what is a passing offense when you look at it historically in LSU. He absolutely demolished every single record. What was it? Last 3 games, he throws for an average of 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns on average.
Because he had 7 against OU and a half.
Yeah. He had 7, 6 in the previous game, and then in the championship game, I believe it was 4. So, look, we're absolutely insane season. Absolutely 15-0. First team to ever go 15-0. Second team to ever go 15-0, actually. But yeah, it's absolutely insane to think just what he was able to do in a college season. Sure, say what you will, 15 games, you get to throw a little more. There's guys in the pros who play 18s, who play 17 games, cannot throw for more than 30 touchdowns. This dude threw for double. So, I'm absolute GOAT of all GOATs here for college quarterbacks. Best season I think I've ever witnessed. I got to appreciate it. And you know what? Maybe one of the best teams we've ever seen put together offensively as well. So, I'm gonna stop there.
It's crazy. We talk about arguably the best team we've seen in a very, very long time. He has the 2 best receivers in the NFL, arguably, on that team. But what he did was so outstanding on top of it. Plus, they had 9 ranked opponents they beat that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. That's
just absolutely insane. That's just what they pull off. So, even despite all of the help and everything like that we would give others the benefit for, he was just that outstanding. I think these were the 2 that we kind of knew when we made the categories. Those 2 will be in the GOAT. We'll see how the rest fall. So, I think that's.
And by the way, he also set the FBS single season record for total touchdowns of 65. So not only did he throw for 60, he ran for 5 more. So
exactly. And plus those random quarterback draws, like 3rd and 10 against Alabama, and he scores a 25-yard touchdown. Just absolutely crazy. Next, we got our 1 quarterback. No, never mind, we had Derrick Henry. We have 1 of 2 non-quarterbacks on the list here. We got Devontae Smith in his Heisman Trophy season, 23 touchdowns, 1,800 yards, broke all of Jamar Chase's records from the year before. I'm going to put him in the winner category as well. I'm going to put him right around. Him and Kyler are pretty much dead even on this one. We kind of knew he was. His biggest competition was his own quarterback, arguably, in Mac Jones, who had a really good season, 4,500, 41 touchdowns, most of it to Devontae Smith. Trevor Lawrence finished second, but it wasn't the most Trevor Lawrence season because he missed some games with COVID, obviously, and that sort of thing. He only had 24 touchdowns. This was kind of that weird season with COVID protocols. Kyle Trask was really good, but Kyle Pitts was awesome. I'm gonna put him as, he was a clear winner. He was a comfortable winner, but it wasn't transcendent, I guess. It was just, he just kind of won up Jamar Chase from the year before, who wasn't even in the running because of how it played out. So Devontae Smith definitely won that one. He definitely earned it. He was incredible. One of the better receiving seasons we've ever seen, but I feel good putting him at winner right now.
That's acceptable. I agree with that. I really have nothing more to add to Devontae. I think he had a great season. I just putting him at winners is just fine with me. I can't really make an argument one way or the other. I wouldn't put him in still pretty good. That'd just be cold-hearted for what he actually did.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't know if either one of these last 2 guys could go in still pretty good either, but I think Devontae is absolutely just a winner here. He probably is not even the lowest on the winner category. He probably does deserve to slide ahead of Kyler a little bit there, but
that's fair. As a receiver doing it, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. He's a receiver beating out quarterbacks and running backs, so that's impressive by a lot. But that's going to take me to Bryce Young. And, yeah, I mean, It was a good season. It was. I just talked about the goat of all goats throwing for 5,600 yards. Now I have to unfortunately go back to a guy who only threw for 4,700, who threw for 40 some odd touchdowns, who also ran for 3 without ever actually counting a yard of rushing. Somehow pretty amazing there. But yeah, I'm gonna give Bryce an easy winner. I don't say it's gonna be incredible. I think honestly his freshman season was incredible. He didn't win a Heisman. His sophomore season was really good, and that's when he wins the Heisman. So it's kind of a tough break there. It's just kind of the year before you lost out because of Devontae. I'm sorry, like tough break, kid. I'm not sorry. I'm wrong. I'm off by a year.
I know what you're getting at, though. Yeah, because Mac Jones.
Freshman. Yeah, freshman. Yeah, he was off by Mac Jones. So you know what? My bad. So
either way, I know what you're saying. It was a damn good season.
Yeah, it was still a good season, but not great by any means. And even his third year was better. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't know. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was great. Easy winner.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well. So next we got Caleb Williams, who I'm going to put also in the easy winner category, but I'm going to put him a little bit farther up. I'm going to put him maybe right around here because I think it was a really, really close race throughout the year. I mean, him, CJ Stroud, Max Duggan, Hendon Hooker was the front runner for a lot of it. Bryce Young was still in it. Blake Corum. Is a very, very wide open race for a lot of it. Drake May, who made a very strong push towards the end. But at the end of the day, Caleb Williams separated himself with he had so many wow plays, so many of those creative plays, which is why he's basically number one pick in the draft next year before we've even played it down next year. It's already pretty much locked in because of what he was able to show on the show. So I'm going to put him an easy winner kind of right in the middle like this. And we'll see. Maybe if we do this list next year, he's back on here again. We'll have to wait and see. But he had a great season. And as it got closer and close, as the season wore down, he kind of pulled away up until that Pac-12 championship when he got dinged up and just couldn't quite get it going. But I like Caleb Williams as an easy winner as well. And as we take a look at this list, this was kind of tough because we obviously had the two GOATs and everyone else was still awesome. It was kind of hard to try and break them up into categories.
I think if we had done the previous 10 years, had done 2000 through 2010, we would have had a few more still pretty goods or even probably didn't deserve to win. I know there's at least one that I say probably didn't deserve to win, at least. But yeah, there's actually I could think of two actually in that period that didn't deserve to win.
All right. Well, you know what? Maybe we're going to do the 2010. Maybe we're going to do the 2000s coming up now.
Hey, we got plenty of ammo to pull from. So we'll have college season rolls around. Maybe we get started on that one. But yeah, I do like this list as far as where we have it right now. I think this is pretty comfortable. Like I said, the only big change I think I could make even a case for would be Lamar. And again, I think our stipulation here is you have to have the ring to go with it. Like you could have all the incredible stats, but you have to have the ring to go with it. And I think that's what keeps Lamar off. And then Jameis, I just don't think it was incredible enough to get him ahead of Lamar, even with the ring. So that's kind of where I'm at with those.
If we had an in-between GOAT and incredible, I think Lamar would have that one comfortably. Just like if we had an oh my god tier, it'd be Lamar easily. We could almost just make a Lamar tier if we wanted at this point. But I'd say
honestly, yeah, it could just be. It's like your name is Lamar Jackson and you go here.
A Lamarvelous season. Like there's a lot we could work with there, but that is our tiers for Heisman Trophy winners going back to 2010. Let us know what you all think in the comments below. We appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with us for this here Tier Tuesday. Be sure to check out our live cast coming up tomorrow at about 8:00 p.m. Eastern time or on any of your favorite places you like to listen to your podcast. We'll see you all again next week.